Would you, says I to him, in the name of Jesus, Mary, and the Holy Saint Joseph, in the name of all the saints in heaven, and of Cardinal Spellman, the man who likes to play leapfrog with acolytes, would you lift the giving hand and pour out 2 measures of the double distilled fruits of the Emerald Isle, so that my parched tonsils won't think I have abandoned them and run off with a woman. The brainless one gazed at me and spake, informing me that he didn't know what I was talking about. There was no fruits in this house. There wasn't any kind of queer in this house. Then he told me before he wasn't going to serve me unless I checked my coat, and he didn't want no trouble from me or nobody else. As my overcoat was buttoned up to the neck, and you couldn't see the bare legs protruding from the hair, I felt safe in assuring him I was willing now to check this troublesome coat, on condition that the coat check attendant be summoned to fetch same. A diminutive, wrinkle-faced, heavily made-up female named Myrtle reluctantly trudged toward me with ticket in hand and checked your coat on her lips. I turned my back to allow her to slide the coat off my nude bod. Now, nude is when you choose to be seen in the buck. Naked is when you're caught while the irate cold and flagrante. Textbooks, please don't, as there's a good deal of confusion in this issue. As the coat slid off the body, and I turned to give the masticating congregation a full frontal view of the complete epidermis. Chest, belly button, the fur of the pube, a reasonable sized dangler, leaning to the right, God forgive me, a somewhat shriveled ball bearer due to the slight chill, thighs, knees, shins, hot socks and footwear. A silence descended upon the room, much the same, I imagine, as when Jesus bade farewell to his apostles and left the upper room forever at the Last Supper. People formed a sitting tableau, caught in the mundane actions of dining. Some were caught with a fork halfway to the food hole, others had fork in the hole. Some were examining the bill for the usual fraud, which is no doubt the standard at an establishment requiring the checking of coats. There were no scratchers, ear pullers, leaning on handers, about to leavers, half-stander uppers, all caught as though the bomb had hit, and they were petrified in place. And all were different in act and deed, except for the focus of the peepers. Had I been arrested and put in a criminal lineup, not one soul there could have identified my face. But had I dropped the trousers and exhibited the 3-piece set, fingering me would have been no trouble. In the Western world, men possess a fierce curiosity about each other's wee-wees. But much fear enriched the lives of the munchers the night of my nude lark. One moment there was a hushed silence, all breathing and respiratory activity stopped. Motion stopped, and there was a communal inhalation followed by bellows, shrieks, and imprecations. God damn, son of a bitch, dirty pervert, flasher! And one distinguished English voice pleaded, Milbury, Milbury! And a politically aware lad bellowed, Connie, Connie! The hat-check woman Myrtle was still standing transfixed, holding the coat as if it was the garment just taken off the body at Calvary. The nitwit behind the bar now bounded over the mahogany, but was nonplussed at never having handled a naked man before. Out of the kitchen poured a phalanx of white-clad defenders of America's purity, a high-hatted chef, a small-hatted chef, assorted assistants, and some damp Hispanic dishwashers, some bearing pots, others frying pans, and some with very sharp-looking cutting instruments. I had a passing thought it was my uncircumcised state was the cause of the consternation. would be no opportunistic moil among my assailants. But the thought soon passed as more troops joined in the assault on my person, bringing larger concerns. All the male diners, egged on by shrieking females, leapt into the fray. Waiters pummeled me, kitchen help bound my head with resounding pots. Fortunately for me, so many hands were intent on doing me damage, they managed to whack each other as well. A whirling, swirling mass of bodies went typhooning toward the door, knocking over tables, bar stools, hysterical women, dinners, pictures on the walls, and all else in its path. There wasn't a swinging door in that entrance, but it seemed as if there were when this teeming mass exited onto the sidewalks of New York, and suddenly I was on the street, naked and alone. For all my attackers, having done God's work and plunged me into outer darkness, had now returned to the interior to congratulate each other and to relive each one's heroic moment in the battle against communistic mummery. Outside, I was bedeviled by a new and unforeseen problem. Having locked the car and put the keys in the overcoat, it was all I could do but retrieve the bloody thing. And how was I going to do that? While cogitating this problem, still reasonably flushed and warm from the blood sport just finished, there were native New Yorkers making little detours around this large, naked, red-bearded man standing in the middle of the sidewalk, who seemed lost in thought on a frosty, wintry eve. You could almost hear them saying, "Oh, look, there's another large, naked, red-bearded man lost in thought in the middle of winter on the sidewalks of New York." Now my dilemma was, should I beseech them and beg them for the return of the coat? Or should I get belligerent and threaten resumption of hostilities? I was beginning to freeze and hadn't time for the former, so hostilities seemed to be the course. It was the work of a moment to open the door, duck the head in, and yell. If my coat wasn't forthcoming, I would come in and wave my wee-wee in their wives' faces. As it so happened, Myrtle was just inside the door, still holding the coat, apparently living the horror of seeing a nude man and losing a tip. When I reappeared, she sank slowly to the floor with a low moan. I nipped in and tried to liberate the coat, but it appeared as if rigor mortis had set in. Her claws were clasped so tightly on the cloth, and pry and praise I might, she wasn't letting her go. So I lifted her and the coat and backed out into the street again. It now appeared as if a hostage situation. And the assorted mob that had assembled for a rapid deployment adopted a placatory demeanor. "Don't hurt her, she's innocent." And all I wanted was a coat, and for hate being kind, gave it back to me. The cold blast of air revived Myrtle, who let go, and not wanting to be seen in public with a man clad only in skin, fled back into the orifice in the wall, posing as a restaurant. I got the keys out, walked to the car, opened door, locked same, started the car, and drove through and scattered the newly revived lynch mob and up to the safety of my cold water flat in Greenwich Village.